All right, let's talk about the cloud. We all have these little mental shortcuts we use to understand it, right? But what happens when the most common one, the one we all kind of rely on, isn't just a little bit wrong, but actually dangerously incomplete?
You've heard this a million times. I've probably said it a million times. The cloud is just someone else's computer. And you know what? It makes sense on the surface. It's simple, it's clean, you're just renting servers from someone else instead of buying your own. Easy.
But here's where we need to pause and ask the really important question. Is that model enough? What are the hidden traps and the surprise costs that pop up when you believe the cloud is only someone else's computer? Because things can go wrong in ways you'd never expect. And that's really the heart of what we're digging into today. That simple definition, it isn't a lie. It's just chapter 1. All the real problems, all the unexpected bills, and the big architectural headaches, they all live in the chapters that simple model completely leaves out.
So to really understand those missing chapters, let's start with a really fantastic analogy. It perfectly captures the #1 mistake people make when they first move to the cloud.
Just picture it. For your whole life, the only way you've gotten around is the city bus. You know the routes, you know the schedule, you know exactly where the stops are. It's predictable, it works. Then one day, someone hands you the keys to a car, a totally different way of getting around, with totally different rules and possibilities. And this comparison just hits the nail on the head. Your old on-premises data center, that's the bus. It's rigid, it's predetermined. The cloud, that's the car. It gives you this incredible freedom, this on-demand flexibility to go anywhere you want, anytime you want. So what do most of us do with our brand new car? We drive it on the old bus routes. We just do. And in the tech world, we have a name for that: lift and shift. You take your old application that was built for your server in the back room, and you just drop it, unchanged, into the cloud. Yeah, sure, it works. You'll get to your destination, but you are missing out on literally all of the speed and the flexibility and the power that made you want the car in the first place. So why? Why do we do this? Why do we drive our fancy new cars like they're old clunky buses? Well, it all comes down to a couple of really deep-seated instincts we've brought over from the physical world: our need to feel in control and how we think about cost. This is such a real human feeling. I mean, you hear it all the time, this idea that your company's most critical data is just out there somewhere in an availability zone. It feels weird. It feels unsettling. There's this sense of security that comes from being able to walk into a room and literally put your hand on the server. But we gotta ask, is that feeling real? Let's just compare what feels safe versus what's actually safe. That physical server you can touch, so often it's a single point of failure. If that machine dies, you're in big trouble. And building real, proper redundancy on-prem is crazy expensive. The cloud, on the other hand, it might feel abstract, but it gives you real safety. It's designed for resilience, automatically copying your data across multiple separate data centers. The feeling of safety and the reality of safety are not the same thing. And that feeling of control brings us to the biggest mental hurdle of them all. And it's not about servers or software at all. It's financial. It's about how money works. And this is the part that trips up almost everyone. Okay, this right here is so important. On-premises is a capital expense, or CapEx. You buy a giant, powerful server that can handle your absolute busiest day of the year, like Black Friday. And for the other 364 days, most of that power just sits there idle. It's a sunk cost you've already paid for. The cloud is the opposite. It's an operational expense, or OpEx. You pay only for what you use when you use it, which means every second of idle capacity isn't just a sunk cost, it's actively costing you money right now. And this chart just lays it bare. Here is your typical on-prem server on a normal Tuesday. You've paid for 100% of its power, but you're only using maybe 20% of it. The other 80% is just waste, sitting there humming away, burning electricity. In the cloud, that dynamic gets flipped completely on its head. That wasted capacity now shows up as a line item on your bill at the end of the month. The meter is always running. That one developer who spins up a test server for a few hours and forgets to shut it down, that can end up billing you for weeks. The cloud rewards you for being deliberate, and it punishes you for being forgetful. This new economic reality leads us to one final, really subtle trap. The cloud offers this feeling of infinite capacity, this endless scale. And that illusion of freedom, well, it can be really dangerous. Look, being able to get 1,000 servers with a few clicks,
It's intoxicating. It's an incredible power. But that very ease can slowly and quietly destroy good engineering discipline. Why spend a week optimizing a clunky piece of code when you can just throw a bigger, more expensive server at the problem in 5 minutes? This convenience can make us all really lazy architects. And this right here, this quote should be printed out and taped to the wall of every single engineering team. The cloud is a magnifying glass. A tiny, inefficient bit of code that was no big deal on one server becomes a 5-figure mistake when you run it across 1,000 servers. The cloud doesn't fix your problems. It makes them bigger and way, way more expensive. So how do you survive this? You have to be intentional. See, in the old world, the sheer difficulty and cost of buying new hardware forced you to be disciplined. In the cloud, that discipline has to come from within your team. And you find that the teams that really thrive, the ones that get it, are obsessive about efficiency. They build a culture around one very simple, very powerful habit: turning things off. Okay, so if someone else's computer is a broken model, what's the right one? Let's take all of these ideas and build a new, much more powerful way of thinking about what the cloud really is. The absolute best mental model for the cloud is to think of it like a utility, just like electricity or water in your house. You don't own the power station, right? You don't manage the power grid. You just plug into the wall, you use what you need, and you pay your bill at the end of the month. But, and this is the crucial part, you always know that the meter is running. And this really clarifies your new role perfectly. Your job isn't to be a data center manager anymore. Your job is to be a conscious, deliberate consumer of this incredible utility. To make smart choices about what you're plugging in, why you need it running, and just as important, when you can unplug it. So let's end with this final, really powerful thought. The cloud has a default setting for absolutely everything. If you don't choose a security setting or a server size or a backup policy, it'll happily choose one for you. And some of those defaults are great, but some of them can be incredibly expensive or insecure. Your real job in this new world is simply to know the difference. Thanks for tuning in.